He was not hard to find, hunched over in his usual place behind an oak tree at the river store. John Soaring Meadow was whittling something that he slipped into a pouch when he spotted me. Then he fixed his gaze and stared with scorching black hole eyes. "Hello," I said. "I'm Diana Falconer. I live down at Perigo Creek." "I know who you are," he whispered. "I wonder if you would talk to me about the Esalen legends. I have a question for you." "What would that be?" He continued to burn through me with his eyes. "I want to know about the Jasmine dogs." His focus wavered a tiny bit before he smiled and stood up. "Give me a reason," he said, moving in very close. I could smell his earthy skin and wondered what passed between those large stained teeth. "Well, I'm a writer, and a friend of mine was visiting, and he heard the story from someone at Esalen, the Institute, you know." "Would that be the movie man you're talking about?" "Yes, Kevin Stone. How did you know he was here?" "Why don't we take a ride in your car?" He hunched over, crouching against the window, watching me drive. We passed under the canopy of redwoods that lined the road going north toward Carmel, and as we reached the gates of Andrew Molera Beach, the trees gave way to open space. He pointed to the right. "Turn in there." We reached a padlock gate and he hopped out. He fiddled with the lock, opened the gate, and waved me in. I watched him amble slowly back to the Jeep, wondering if I had lost my mind. He was a strong, massive man, way over 6 feet, but something told me he was safe. After all, it was I who requested this meeting. We wound up a gravel road for several miles, crisscrossing back and forth into the hills, until we found a spot with a small turnout. He got out and motioned to me to follow him off the road into a glade. We were soon immersed in trees and shrubs, heading down a steep path toward the sound of running water. Sunlight spotted through the dense brush and danced on his shoulders as I walked behind him. It was amazing to watch him move through the forest as we turned off the path and padded along the soft pine needles covering the ground. He was so graceful and fluid, very much at home in this place. We came to a clearing that sloped down to a running stream, with smooth rocks covering the bank. He leaned against a massive oak tree and slipped off his boots and made his way down the bank to the water. As the current rushed over his feet, he turned toward the far side and relieved himself, quietly peeing as if there was no one else there. I stood very still and silent. "So I will tell you about the Jasmine dogs, but there must be a promise from you," he said, returning to a spot next to me. "You will not talk of this place or our conversation to another human being." "Okay, but why?" "My tribal name is Tehomaya, which means soaring meadow in our language. I learned my stories from the wise men, and they learned from their wise men.